come once again to discuss things.
Welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen History Month, the month in which we, of course, discuss the contributions that geeky gentlemen have made to history, but that have been ignored by a biased educational system. Except, not at all. I am Sid Partu. Joining me today is the real Manos himself, Justin Cristelli.
Hello, how you... Oh, wait, Halloween
Yeah,
are over. Oh, okay. Hello, how are you? It's History Month.
History Month.
History Month. Hello, hello.
In which we will only talk in exclusively high British accents.
Yes, quite.
Yes, so it's interesting though, because we are going from Horror Month to History Month, and so we've got a fan film to discuss today that kind of bridges the gap between those two. But before we get into that, I want to say, this is our first year doing fan film reviews for History Month. We previously skipped it in years that we've been doing fan film reviews. We've skipped it during History Month and once before during Holiday Month because we feel the amount of content out there is not necessarily going to be of a high enough standard to talk about deeply. But I was like, Manos, do you want to try it? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for History Month fan film reviews. So during the month of November, we will be reviewing fan films that either star period era characters or have a strong background in historical events to some degree. So Manos, what are we starting out with?
Well, I couldn't think of a better film to do for History Month than Untitled Predator fan film.
Mm-hmm. It does kind of crack me up that this does not have a title because it seems like there are so many easy ones to do.
Yeah.
Like if you just name the company, that'd be good. That'd be fine. Yes, so this is a Predator fan film I've actually seen before. I just, I'll go through YouTube looking for fan films to talk about for future episodes and stuff. And so this one had popped up a couple times and I watched it. And the premise here is that the Predator attacks a company of soldiers who are on an island under the control of the Japanese Empire during World War II.
Yeah, most likely South Pacific.
Yep, that's the word I was looking for, South Pacific Island, thank you. Yep, that's the whole premise of the thing. What'd you think of it, Manos?
I liked it for the most part. I was kind of rooting for the Japanese soldier the most because he's obviously seen some shit. Mm-hmm. By the time we get to him, there's a couple other characters and the American company that I was kind of rooting for that didn't make it, and one character I kind of didn't see come out of nowhere and become our other lead character. But the Predator suit is fantastic. The film looks great. I thought it was pretty well shot, and the pacing was strong. It was a shorter film than we've been doing lately, mm-hmm. But I appreciate the fact that the film pretty much knew when to end.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's like the last act of Predator 2, which is my favorite part of every Predator movie. It really is just the battle with the Predator. It kind of condenses the whole thing down. And gets all into it, and I really like it for that reason. What this does is it's just another thing that really justifies something that I know I want, and I think the Predator fan base is really kind of vying for, which is a period piece Predator movie.
Yeah.
there's another fan film that was, I believe, the second fan film we ever watched, or maybe it was even the first, for Geeky Gentleman fan film reviews, and it was Predator Dark Ages, and that took place in the Dark Ages, and it was a really cool premise, and I'm just like, I really could go for a big studio Predator film that's set in a historical era, because you could do so much with it, and this kind of proves it. The formula just works so well to put the Predator wherever the fuck you want in history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What I like about this is it's consistent with the lore of the Predator, and it just makes sense that there would be a Predator in this era. So we've got World War II. We're in the South Pacific. The Predators are attracted to areas of conflict and come out where it's hot. The South Pacific is very hot. And during World War II, there was a lot of conflict. So it just so works with the mythos around the Predator, and I really, really appreciate it for that. Something else I really like about it is it's a pretty ugly film in its depiction of the American soldiers, and I quite like that about it. I'm of the opinion World War II was the war that had to be fought, and the side that needed to win did win, but we romanticize it way too fucking much, and there was a lot of fucked up shit that went down in that war, particularly in the Japanese theater, or the Eastern theater, rather. And so just to see, some Americans that, they use the word Jap and slant eye and stuff like that, and to seem like, oh, we're going to make this guy commit suicide in front of us. That's actually not too far from things that happened and just were that way. You watch old World War II cartoons or look at old war propaganda, and it's you'll see just a lot of really racist depictions of the Japanese, and so it's just kind of it's very true in ways that I think a lot of media doesn't allow itself to be when depicting the war.
I agree. Once the captain of the company started going into that shit with the soldier they capture, he's gonna torture and kill him, and I'll be honest, I was horrified by that part, but I was also appreciating it too.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're saying is right. We were pretty... I mean, look, everybody did terrible things in World War II, including us. And yeah, we do kind of... we do kind of whitewash what we did and who we were.
It's not just that it's whitewashed, that it gets glossed over and not mentioned.
I think that's more fair, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the thing I really like about this, and it's kind of the thing that I really appreciate, and I think, you might not be able to do if this wasn't a fan film. I was saying in the beginning that myself included and the Predator fan base are kind of vying on the outskirts for a period piece Predator film, but it's almost better that it hasn't happened, and that the fan base has kind of been left to do it to their own devices, because I'm not sure you'd be able to get away with this. To make something like this, obviously it'd need to be longer, but to make something like this on a studio budget, you would have to sell it, and the studios are not really vying to ruin people's rose-colored image of American soldiers in World War II.
True, yeah.
And not just American soldiers, of course, but Grant Morrison had a fantastic interview on Kevin Smith's podcast. He talked about how his father told him about how they were, in Vietnam, they were putting grenades in their commanders' back pockets and stuff, and how that'd been happening for soldiers in wars going back generations. And yeah, that's just the ugly side of war that there's no one left. There's a couple outliers of people who are over 100 years old, but there's no one left alive who have not grown up without film romanticizing World War II
Yeah.
from a Western perspective, and so we lose a lot of that detail because we don't encourage the stories of the ugly stuff to come out as much as we should. So it just, I don't know how much the filmmaker was intending to really tap into this stuff, which is very real, or how much they were just like, well, if the predator is going to kill them, we should probably firmly establish that they're not good people. They just happen to be on the right side of history. And I don't know, I really appreciated that. I thought that was really interesting because, I don't know, I have complex feelings on World War II, and so yeah, I like America in World War II more than I like Japan in World War II, but in this film, I like the Japanese soldier more than I like the American soldiers.
Correct. And the Japanese soldier and also the American soldier who survives, they create that bond, pretty much out of honor. Like, hey, okay, we were at war a second ago, but there's this new thing that's trying to kill us. So, okay, screw that.
Mm-hmm.
we're together now.
And that's just so classic, isn't it?
It is. And I will say, if this was a big budget studio film, it is possible they would have skipped over the racism, but they would definitely have kept this part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're totally right. It is such just a trope of film these days. I don't think that's that kind of thing of teaming up with your enemy in a big bombastic action scene was really a thing before the Hollywood machine. At least it doesn't come to mind.
Yeah. I really do enjoy that bit at the end where they defeat the Predator, and I'm glad, by the way, it's the Japanese soldier who cuts the final blow.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that moment where the American soldier bows and the Japanese soldier salutes.
That is really cool.
I'm a sucker for that stuff. Yeah, so that was really cool. Yeah, the performances were really great. Yeah, I was worried that, and also the fact that I was worried about the Japanese soldier because, like, if this was a big, I keep going back to if this was, but if this was like a big budget studio film, I mean, the Japanese soldier may have been killed like all throughout it, because that tends to happen a lot. Even when we relate to like the Japanese character or an Asian character, there's still fodder for getting killed.
And in order to advance the white guy's character arc, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the strength of these fan projects and stuff is they can exist outside of the tropes and demands of the Hollywood machine. They can tell the stories the fans want to tell.
Correct.
And sometimes that can clearly go wrong. Don't get me wrong. Just go look up some fanfiction.net sites. But sometimes it goes really right, and I think this is an example of it going really right. Now, for as much as I am praising this, particularly for capturing some of the lore of the Predator, I will come down on it a little bit.
All right, let's get ready.
Yeah, because I don't think that it's really capturing one of the particular aspects of the Predator, because what it wants to do is it wants to give the showdown scene that happens in every Predator movie, but it doesn't really have the time to do the legwork to get there. So we have our main character, I want to say his name's Jones or something. They don't give the name, it's just on the name tag or whatever. But we have him like running away from the fucking slaughter that these soldiers go through, which is just brilliant. We have him run away from that, and then the Predator kind of just confronts him in the middle of the woods, takes off the mask, and then they begin the showdown. By and large, if you run away from a Predator, you're not an honorable enough opponent for them to do that for you, is basically the way their really wonky code works. So you would certainly make an argument that, oh, well, this Predator just doesn't care about that or just wants the match to really bolster itself. And yeah, sure, I don't think the film justifies those kinds of explanations. I think they just wanted to do that scene but didn't have the time to do the legwork for it. So, like, stuff like that I'm a little iffy on, but overall, so much more of this is working for me than isn't.
Yeah. As far as a historical aspect, I was thinking about the fact that the troops were integrated, and I don't think that was I don't remember if that happened during or after World War II.
It was not super common during the war. That is correct. Not only that they're integrated, but it's multiple races integrated. We got white, black, and then I think the guy's Samoan.
Yeah.
So like, or Pacific Islander of some kind. So like that level of integration, there's certainly probably exception to it, but it's just that it would be the exception.
Yeah, I mean that was more of a modern type of company. You'd nowadays, there'd be a lot more mixed like there of people. So I mean that's the only thing that stuck out, and that's to me is like that's more of a nitpicky. What do you call it? Like when something doesn't work in the
historical inaccuracy.
Yeah, anachronism. Yeah, but that's kind of it. You can also, if this film was long enough, you could have made the case that the company had to kind of like band together what they had.
If it was like different units being kind of sunken left and right, and like this is all that's left, that could work.
Yeah, and then their racial tensions would be a factor within the film. And I guess I'm writing a feature-length version of this.
Which, I mean, don't you want it though? Don't you just want it?
Yeah. Well, now I do.
Yeah, now you want it because you want to be able to write it. It's a really, really cool premise, and it just shows you how well it works. I will say, like, it's weird with Predator that we seem to just kind of go back to the same 4 to 5 things. But at the same time, it always works as long as it's not too fresh in your mind. As long as like you didn't watch Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and then watch this, it always works. Like, I know Predator. I've seen Predator multiple times. I've seen Predator 2 more because I like that movie more. But anyway, I know it well, but I don't remember all the details. So like when I'm watching a Predator thing and everyone's like, "Oh, come on, this bit was in the first movie," I'm like, I don't care if it was in the first movie. It worked in the first movie, and now it's working again, and I don't really have the association in my head. It's just working because this is what Predator is. This is what it does. And so that just it just works for me. So like, the jump into the river from a cliff thing, the wash up on the shore thing, the standoff one-on-one mano-a-mano fight thing. It's just all really cool. To take the mano-a-mano thing and make it a 2-on-1 kind of fight's really cool. I love the back-to-back fighting. It's just, I don't know, so much of that really, I really dig that shit.
Now, there have been Dark Horse Predator comics that have been taken place in period pieces, right?
I'm pretty sure there have. I don't read a ton of Predator in comics and until recently, but I'm reasonably sure that's true.
I think they've done that a couple times. One that I thought was cool, I actually bought it because I'm not a big Predator and Alien fan, but there was one John Byrne did for Dark Horse back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Where it was an Alien comic, and it was a one-shot. It was just a simple 22-page one-shot where it was an alien story that took place in the 1950s America. And it was created like a typical like Universal International 50s horror movie where something falls from out the sky and it's an alien attacking people, and there's the local country doctor figuring out the problem. And it's like written in like kind of created in that style. It's in John Byrne's art style though, but I mean it's that kind of like movie story. And I've always thought since then, it's like, oh man, that should have been an Alien movie. Is just like completely like rip on the old like
old trope film kind of stuff. Yeah.
And with like the Peter Graves type of actors.
And you could do the same thing with Predator in the classic World War II film.
Yeah.
It's
or World War
weird.
One.
Yeah. Oh,
how fucking
God,
crazy would World War One be?
That'd be pretty good. There wasn't as much going on. No, wait, shit. Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, you could do it. You could do World War One stuff. It wouldn't be the trench warfare people are typical of thinking of, but it could work. You just need the hot zone. But no, just Predator, it so works in just these different concepts. So yeah, the idea of Predator in a like classic World War II film where they're suddenly dealing with it. Like, to me, I think the place you go for this, if you wanted to make it feature length, would just be to extend the time that the Japanese soldier and the American soldier have to team up and work together. Because we get cool reveals about the American soldier, but it doesn't have much time to breathe. Like, when we realize that the woman he's been looking at is Japanese, I thought that was really good. I thought that was really interesting and could have gone to some cool places, but as is, it's just like, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
This is almost like a really, really good pitch.
That's actually not a bad idea. And you know what? The precedent is there. Like, Kong Island is a Vietnam film. Mm-hmm. And I think that film works really well. And that wouldn't be too far different from, like, what we would probably see in a Predator period piece.
Say that 5 times fast.
No.
No, I completely agree. So just the whole premise there really works. I also really liked a lot of the filmmaking side of this. I don't think we've talked about that very much yet, but I thought the filmmaking side of this worked really well. It's very, very well shot. The editing's... It's a little jittery, but I definitely got the impression that these aren't necessarily stunt actors, so I feel like a lot of the editing is cutting around some probably less than stellar fighting choreography, but the fights still feel genuinely intense, so that's, it's well done editing. I also really like, the costuming is good, not just the Predator costume, but the World War II outfits uniforms look really good. The Japanese soldiers' uniform looks really good. What's impressive about it is they look like they've been worn in the fucking South Pacific,
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like sweaty.
They look lived in. They've beaten up, dirty.
Mm-hmm. Nice, like just dripping with sweat kind of thing. It's perfect. So I really like that. I love the way it's shot. Again, some of the, it's very typical, reverential to the Predator film, with Schwarzenegger. I particularly think of the shot where I'm pretty sure it's Billy's just like staring into the trees and he thinks he sees the Predator. I feel like that exact shot is in here. So like that's a good one. And then, jumping off the cliff, it looks good. Slow motion, nice zoom in on all that. That's fine. The effects integration too is pretty good. When the Predator comes out of the camo mode and just reveals itself in the forest, I can tell that they shot the Predator on a green screen and integrated him into the background after the fact. I still think it looks really good.
Yeah.
The Predator's, cloaking tech looks really good. The zap eyes thing looks really good. I don't know, man. Just a lot of the effects here really work. I love the scene where the dude blows, just like completely disintegrates because of the grenade the Predator uses. That was fucking cool.
That might have been a little bit on budgetary restraint, but yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty cool. I'm not sure what kind of trophy you're gonna get from that, but hey.
It's like, oh shit, that's right.
I also love what a dick the Predator is. That's my favorite thing about the Predators. They're just such fucking dicks.
They are dicks.
Yeah, he just fucking like takes the skull and throws it at the dude's feet, and then he's like, "Come at me, bro." I'm like, God, you're such an ass. I love you.
Have you seen Movie Bob do a video about Predator recently? He was talking about the most recent film.
No, I haven't watched the new one yet.
He had a really interesting idea that he sort of pitched it in this video. Maybe I'll share it with you. But it's a pretty funny idea, actually, in that the predators we see that come down to Earth in these films are the trophy hunting dicks of the predator planet. Like, like everyone, like they have like, high high technology, and they can space travel, and they have all this amazing weaponry and technology. Maybe their planet is just like a high advanced society, but the predators that come to our planet are like the loser jerk hunters that in our world go to hunt elephant tusks and stuff like that and shoot animals while they're just posed with pictures of them. Maybe that's the alien version of them. They come to Earth to kill anybody and make themselves feel good, so they go back and bore people with stories about pulling spies.
No, totally. I get that one. I don't know. There's something legitimately interesting to the idea of what if a completely carnivorous race gained sentience? What if a literal predatory race, what if, I don't know, fucking lions or sharks or some shit, gained sentience and formed a society? How much of that would be ingrained? How much of that instinct would stay? So I do find those ideas really interesting, but it is fun to kind of postulate on some of that stuff. And I so think that the fucking predators are such just dude bro assholes, and I did a series of pictures forever ago where I just edited in little text balloons where the predators were saying dude bro things. It was like, fucking protein, bro, it's all about protein. It works so well, but I still love them because they're fucking sore losers, and they're just assholes. They just knowingly mock people because when they do the fucking voice thing, it's like, want a piece of candy? That is so them just being fucking dicks. That's like when you got a fucking dude bro and he's like, it's that voice. It's so what that they're doing there. I promise.
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of a mistake to paint them as an honorable race, which I sometimes see people do with them. I kind of like the Eli Roth method. With them, I think it's interesting. I haven't really seen dude bro dick aliens.
I think they are. I think that the honor thing's there, but they're petty and they cheat, and so it is an honor thing, but it's the same level of an honor thing as oh yeah, you beat me in a fight, but it's just because you kicked me in the nards. No, that person won the fight. You're just bitter about it because you didn't think to kick them in the nards, and you just that's what that is. It's oh yeah, there's honor, quote unquote, but it's just there to kind of to cover up your shortcomings. So yeah, I find the Predators absolutely fascinating as characters, even though they kind of represent total dicks, and to a certain extent they're just a fucking power fantasy for some people. But I think there's enough commentary in them, and I think this film does a really good job just utilizing them. I don't know how deeply it gets into that aspect of the characters, but it's fine. It's cool. It's a really good film. I really appreciated it, and it's just fun to talk about this kind of stuff.
Yep.
All right. Is there anything else we can talk about related to the history of this? Because we did definitely get into it. I think that the portrayal of the soldiers is probably the thing this is doing the best from a historical perspective, in the non-glorification of the U.S. soldier. I was really appreciative of that. Otherwise, I don't know, the era stuff was kind of cool. I'm pretty sure your average Japanese soldier didn't actually carry a katana, or what do they call that? The smaller blade.
Well, the smaller blade. Oh, geez, I probably should have researched this before we started talking, because I do know in some cases, like in planes, if they were caught, they would have a knife to kill themselves to keep from getting caught. I've heard that before. I don't know how true that is, though.
From what I remember, and it's been a while since I've looked into this, but that was the swords were given out as part of the kamikaze movement, which was kind of last ditch effort for the Japanese military, and so they were kind of embracing the whole legend of the samurai thing to convince these guys to kamikaze their fucking planes. And so that's kind of part of that whole thing. But as far as I recall, the typical Japanese soldier would not have been carrying anything like that. I don't care. It works perfectly within the context of the film.
Tiny bit off topic. I was just recently watching a documentary on Netflix about Toshiro Mifune, and he hated being in the military. He was in the military during World War II. He was a young kid. He just wanted to be an actor, and he ended up in the military because everybody had to be in the army during World War II. And, he just absolutely just hated the whole experience. And he eventually ended up with the responsibility of prepping pilots for kamikaze raids.
Wow.
Yeah, he had to prepare kamikaze pilots. And there's this bit where he would, tell them, before you go in for your final dive, don't think about the emperor. Think about your mother. And yeah, he carried that with him throughout his whole life. Yeah,
that's craziness. Wow, that's a fucking job and a half right there, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. Because you got to think somebody when you hear shit like kamikaze pilots or some other thing like that, somebody's job is to get that all set up.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And we'll wrap up after this, but I've watched documentaries of people who were recruited to do suicide bombings but backed out at the last minute, and they talk about the people that come get them. So there's this girl whose boyfriend was killed by Israeli soldiers, and so she was really mad, and she was posting I believe on her social media about how she was so mad at Israel for this, and then some guy showed up and was like, do you want to get back at them for this? And she was like, yes, I do. And she was expecting to be indoctrinated and everything, but it just all happened so fast for her, and before she knew it, she was strapped up with a bomb about to go somewhere, and then she realized it all in an instant and said, no, I'm not doing this. So it's really interesting the way that people can be coaxed into these kind of things. But this is all super interesting historical stuff to talk about in regards to human psychology, but not really related to the fan film. So I think we're going to wrap up on that note. Let's go ahead and go on to ratings then. And Manos, I'll let you go first while I pull up what we're going to talk about next.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I dug this film. It was a little short, where there could have been a little bit development here and there in the story with the characters, but all in all, I thought this was really enjoyable, and I'm going to give it definitely 4 out of 5 dead racist commanders. Nice.
Sorry if you guys got a bit of the audio for what we'll be talking about next time. For me, I also did really enjoy this. My complaint is that it's not long enough. So that's almost always a good sign. So I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5 Rubik's Cubes that have been painted to look like sci-fi bombs. I am almost certain that's exactly what that prop was, and I refuse to accept any explanation that it was not. Alrighty. So that will do it for Untitled Predator fan film. That's my biggest complaint. It should have a title.
Yeah, come on, man. Just think of something.
Right? It's so good. Just put a title on the thing.
Just say Predator World War II. The end. You got your title.
Yeah. Anyway, so next time we'll be talking about our first foreign language fan film. I really wanted to talk about a Zorro fan film, but there aren't many, and the only one that looks like it's of high enough quality for us to discuss is in Spanish. So we'll be talking about Zorro Begins, Las Larmas de Don Diego.
Oh, good. That one's much better than Zorro Rises.
Yeah. But not nearly as good as the Zorro Night.
Oh, my God. Well, of course, that's the best one of the 3.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I am the realist.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.